My story starts in Natchitoches, Louisiana, in a very small college town. I graduated with no college next steps, no degrees, no scholarships. I was like, this is it. And so I went to partying, what I knew best. Did that for another year and then moved away. Went to Shreveport, Louisiana for about a year and still was connected with my high school friends throughout that time. They went off to college, I didn't. And then one day they called me up and was like, hey man, like we're gonna be throwing this party for a couple birthdays. You should come through. I drove down there. I spent Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night just partying, drinking, and I made a career out of it. This time was a little different though because now I'm old enough to do whatever I want. I ended up staying up and just going that route, just nonstop. I mean, anytime I went down, I got high and I got right back up. And then Sunday came around and I had to go back to work. All my friends was like, bro, you gotta take a nap. You gotta, get a power nap in, do something. You've been up ever since Thursday. Like you need to sleep. I was like, man, I've done this before. This is nothing new. And so I hit the road. Lo and behold, I started kind of dozing off and kind of fading out while I'm driving. And I happened to make it all the way to Shreveport, all the way back home. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I wake up, like I've been in an accident. My truck kind of hit the guardrail and veered into the opposite lane. I eventually got carted off to the hospital. They just put a Band-Aid on my head and that was the end of my night. And so I go home and it's pitch black in my room. It's just me. Once you come this close to death, you have to kind of reconcile and put everything in perspective. So I'm sitting down and I can just remember seeing my name on my stepmom's refrigerator and I remember her dragging me to church every Sunday when I come visit her for like breaks and holidays and stuff like that. Because I didn't grow up in a church. That's not my background. That's not where I come from. I remember even in high school, me living like right across the street from church. Like spiritually, I was as far as from the church as you can get. But physically, I could throw a rock and hit the church. And I remember thinking back, man, like this God that my stepmom spoke of, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. I should have made it out. And so that night, it was pitch black. I was on my knees and I just said, God, my life is in your hands. So I'm just gonna give it to you. And then that was it. By myself in pitch black darkness, I met God and I gave my life to him. For 19 years, I was existing. I wasn't living. I was really just surviving. And once I met God and found out what life truly was, I began to live and I began to thrive and to come alive in what God has for me. And where there was no purpose, no direction, now I have a purpose, now I have a drive, now I have a direction that God is pulling me in. Where there was no passion, it was lifeless, and now there's a vibrancy in my life now. Where there was a whole lot of darkness, and now I'm seeing God shine his light in my situation like I've never seen before, like I've never experienced. This is completely new to me.